Hey everyone, this is Mod Gaddafi, known as the General. I'm here with Mark Zielinski. We are recording another Mantic Universe podcast MUP short for short. So it's gonna be on the different armies in Kings of War. Do we have too many? Do you have too few? Should we consolidate them? So this is a quick discussion on the armies and the state of the different factions in Kings of War and whether they should stay, they should be consolidated, or they should even go. So, yeah.
Hey there, I'm Brian.
And I'm Rick.
From Deadzone, the podcast.
And you're listening to Mantic Universe Podcast.
For everything Mantic under the sun.
There you go. And hey, while we're walking through this mode, we can try to find the army that doesn't have a plastic kit. So we can try to figure out the mystery army while we're going through this, too.
Yes, the mystery army. I think everyone's everyone's super interested in to find out which army is going to get redone. It's going to be something like the Twilight Kin, but not at the same extent. So yeah. Well. So we'll start off we'll do it in alphabetical order. So we'll start off with the Abyssal Dwarves. I think Abyssal Dwarves are pretty well fleshed out. I think they are one of the iconic Mantic armies. But what do you think, Mal?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're all about Pannithor, and they've been around since the beginning, and I think they're awesome. And they just got some big releases in the Vault, and they're going to be starring in the next 2-player starter set. So I think that they're going to be sticking around for sure, and definitely. And they have plastic kits, so they're not going to be getting redone.
This is Ronnie Renton, and you are listening to the Mantic Universe podcast.
I know about this.
Definitely, I think Abyssal Dwarves. I think Mantic has done a pretty interesting take on them. Their own take on evil dwarves. So yeah, they're definitely going to stay. Next up is Basilia or Basilia. I mean, I don't know what's
Basileans.
Basileans, yeah, Basileans. So Basileans definitely one of the flagship armies for Mantic. So that's definitely going to stay. But will they merge with the team army? So that's another discussion. I think we can go into Brothermark since it's also B. Should Brothermark stay with Basilia? I'm not so sure. What do you think, Mark?
Well, it could be an interesting story if they don't, and they get sick and tired of the Basileans, and they strike out on their own again. So it'd be very interesting. I mean, I think that's a potential plot hook. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, I think it's.
This is Rob Fnuff from the Counter Charge Podcast, and you're listening to the Mantic Universe Podcast, the only podcast that has the balls to cover all their games.
I like the whole story from second edition where the Brotherhood split into two. I think that was very interesting. Some went with Basilia, some went with the Forces of Nature. So that's an army that could be consolidated with Basilia. But we'll see.
I love the Brotherhood. I was very sad of the Sundering. But I think they did something good with it. So, Brothermark wasn't very good. Now they're pretty good. And, the Order of the Green Lady, I think, was a benefit. I think a lot of people can relate to that. And I think that people are enjoying that particular army.
Yes, I think Order of the Green Lady is definitely more popular than Brothermark, because Brothermark is just basically...
This is the only podcast with the balls to do all the games.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, there's more humans. There's nothing really special with it, other than there's peasants, I guess, which you could have in the main army anyway. So I think Brothermark would be a good army. I mean, just to streamline things, if they can just consolidate with Basilia or Basileia. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm all about not streamlining. So I'll be on the record saying I hope they all stay, but it'll be interesting to go through the list here.
Yes. Yeah. So the next one is Dwarves. I think Dwarves are a classic trope, definitely staying. So it's interesting. They have a team list, 3 Dwarves, which I feel it's one of the better team lists in Kings of War. So I hope they stay as well. So
I hope both of them stick around. I think they, I'd love to see, and Ben Stoddard has a dwarf novel coming out. So
Wow, okay.
Yep. So it should be like it's imminent. So I want to, in my mind, I've got the Imperial dwarves versus the Free dwarfs. So I want to see how that plays out a little bit. And I think that they're distinct factions with distinct ways to do war.
Definitely.
So,
I think what's interesting is when Mantic comes back to doing dwarves, how would they do it? I think that's super interesting. I think Danny Graves also has a free dwarf novel coming out.
oh, that would be great.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. I like the dynamic, as you mentioned, between the Imperial and the free dwarves. I think that's something interesting, and Mantic should definitely continue with that. So I think they're both staying.
Yep,
Maybe both
and
want them to stay.
plastic kits, so not getting
Yes.
redone.
Yeah, I think the free dwarves will be getting the Raven Riders. So basically the same kit as the Frostcore Riders. I think that's super interesting, super fun. That would definitely make their army more distinct from the Imperial dwarves. Yeah. So I mean personally, I think that they should rename dwarves to Imperial dwarves, to make it more Mantic, to make it more of their own IP.
Oh, you know what? I didn't think of that. I mean, everybody calls them Imperial dwarfs. I think that's a good idea. That'll definitely separate them. Good one, Gad.
No problem.
All right.
So next we have elves. I think everyone has been asking for a new elves kits by Mantic. I think you need to have elves, so maybe in the same idea would be could Mantic call them something else? Yeah, something else.
Let's not go GW here.
Yeah.
Keep the elves, man.
Keep the elves.
Keep the elves.
Yes.
I'm all about that. Yeah, these kits are old, and but I don't think they're getting redone anytime soon, based on the conversations we had at Mantic HQ during Clash, and it just didn't. I didn't see a big rush to get these redone, so I think they got their eyes on other prizes right now. But boy, the elves, that they've been doing lately have been really good. And so I think that there's, a good aesthetic there. They just got to get it done. So
yes, I mean, if you really want, I mean, the recent Northern Alliance half elf kit can make berserkers. It can make great stalkers. It could make all sorts of elves with some converting. So yeah, there's some room to play with there. So elves is going to stay. Empire of Dust is another army that is definitely going to stay. I think their counterpart Ophidia has been hinted since I think second edition. We are all waiting for that. So yeah, I think Ophidia will be interesting. It will probably be a team army of Empire Dust, and Empire Dust still has some missing kits like the Undead Worm, the Bone Giant. So maybe when they come back, Soul Snare. I mean, stuff like that. So when they come back to doing just fleshing out the range for Empire Dust, maybe they could introduce Ophidia as well.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to Ophidia. I just feel it in my bones that it's being worked on. Absolutely. So hopefully that'll get added to the list. Because what do we have? 28 armies, 29 if you throw in Jarvis.
Yeah.
So, what the heck? Round it off at 30. I think variety is the spice of life. So.
Definitely. Although I would think that with Ophidia, the noble undead, I mean, Jarvis is part of Ophidia, so they would basically remove noble undead and create Ophidia. It will be a replacement, a proper full army. So we'll still have the same number of armies.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, I can see that. That would be great.
Yeah. So like noble undead is like a placeholder for now until we actually get Ophidia, I guess. Because Jarvis, he is from there.
Absolutely. I have some novel ideas surrounding him. So, but I just need to retire someday, and then I can have nothing to do, and I can do all this stuff. So, It would be great. So, and just mentioning, tons of plastic kits, so they're not getting redone.
Definitely. Yeah. Next one is Forces of Nature. Forces of Nature, it's a bit of an odd army. It's basically bits and pieces of many armies, or like the different elementals, salamanders, the naiads. I think Countercharge had a very good discussion about this, like to make it more distinct. Remove the naiads, remove the salamanders from the army, which I agree. It feels like a leftover army. What do you think, Mark?
Well, originally how Forces of Nature came about was, in the beginning, in first edition, they had the good armies, the evil armies, and the neutral armies. So this one, Nature was in the middle. And so basically Nature was just there, and they threw the naiads and the salamanders in there, and basically they got released as part of Forces of Nature. So you have to go back and read that book, and its name dropped right out of my head. But it's the same book that the ogres were released in. And so,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, and the Forces of the Abyss were basically just the evil army in that book too. I've got to find that book. We'll have to go back over that again. But that's how Forces of Nature became the dumping ground of plastic frames. So, and speaking of plastic frames, you've got, that's one thing you could do, is roll out the salamanders and the naiads from there, and then that would leave this army, I believe, without a plastic frame. So
that's true.
If you did that, that would be a little sleight of hand there, Mr. Renton. But so this is a potential candidate, depending on how you look at it.
Definitely. I think, as you mentioned, they came out with this army to roll out the naiad and salamander sprues. Now that the naiads and salamanders have their own army, so maybe we could have, I think one candidate that everyone definitely wants are centaurs. We need plastic centaurs.
Oh, those metal ones are horrible. I have a set of them.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even bother asking for parts from Mantic for it. I got 2 of the same halves, and it would, but I can get 3 good ones out of the parts I have, but the metal is so soft and so flexible. It's, they're awful. So.
Yeah. So, and I don't really think that there is a centaur kit in the market that's really good, plastic kit that's good. So I think that's a void that they could tap on.
Yeah. I mean, wasn't part of the thought too, is if you were going to do a consolidation, take out the salamanders, take out the naiads, bring in the herd, and if you did that, Forces of Nature is a candidate again, like I said. So they got a couple ways to go, and they might be able to pull that off.
Yeah, so I think it makes sense. I think the herd would fit better with Forces of Nature than naiads and salamanders. So definitely, if you could consolidate herd and Forces of Nature, although I do understand that the herd have their own nice lore behind them. They have the avatar of the father, they worship a different god and all that. But they still worship the Green Lady, I believe.
Right. So, so yes. And again, I'm not pushing for anything to get consolidated. We're just talking. So.
Yeah, okay. I mean, so it's candidate. I mean, they could.
It's a candidate. It's a candidate for new frames. It's a candidate to go away. So
yeah,
it could go either way on that one. So. All right, so the next one up is Forces of the Abyss. Now, we know this one's getting new frames next year, so it's definitely not going to be the replacement army, but...
Yeah, I think what will be interesting is which unit would get the new frames, or would there be new units? I think that's a trend with the refresh, is to give the armies new units. I think they have probably they have the more elite infantry, Abyssal Guard. There isn't a full unit for them. There's only 1 or 2 plus character models for Vanguard. I think that's a candidate. What do you think, Mark?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That could definitely be it. I'm trying to think of what other things. I don't think they're going to go back and redo the Succubi and the lower abyssals or anything like that.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. And I don't know. Would you think, because the poster boy for all this, they're always showing the face of the greater abyssal thing. So I'm thinking, are we going to get a big plastic kit? Are they going to do a monster plastic kit that could be used? So, with wings or without wings, I think that would be interesting.
Yes, I think something like the Morlocks. It has to be distinct.
Oh, I love the Molochs. Oh, that's a great idea. I love the Molochs, but you could put those guys in a sock and kill somebody. So I mean, I love the ones that came in Dungeon Saga.
Yes.
So I really, really like that. So we'll see. There's a lot of potential. That's a great idea. Boy, now I'm on that. Molochs would be great.
Yeah, Morlocks, and maybe they can have like a alternate kit with riders, perhaps something interesting. Yeah, so the free to walls, we covered that. Goblins are definitely staying. I mean, goblins are probably one of their better model range. Everything's fleshed out. Maybe there's trolls, but you could just use the halfling trolls, I guess.
Right. They just have to repurpose them. Even though I like having a difference between the forest trolls and the regular trolls, but definitely. And yeah, as you just mentioned, there's plastic kits here, so this one's not getting redone, and it's already been redone. So I've got a pile of the first edition goblins, man. So absolutely. So I know they've been redone.
Yes. Then halflings is one of the newer armies. I think they have full range for that. So definitely not going to be redone. It's a unique army. It just won UK Clash of Kings. I'm playing it. I'm loving it. So yeah, it won't be redone.
Absolutely. So, if I heard that correctly, you were the second best halfling player at Clash?
Yes, I was. So there were about 12 halfling players. I was 25th. The first one obviously won the tournament. So yeah, I got lucky. But it's a very unique army. My list was totally different from Peter, who won the tournament. I think the only unit we had in common were the engineers and EJs. So yeah, lots of variety in army. I'm excited to see the Clash updates, because I think a lot of people have been saying that the cavalry is a bit underpowered. We'll see whether there's any adjustments to that.
Yeah, I don't know. I tremble in fear every time I see Felix Castro's halfling army. They completely dismantled Colin and I in the team tournament. I mean, it almost it was surgical. So it was very bad. It was the first time I really faced them head on, and I have a huge respect for forest trolls, let me tell you.
Yeah, forest trolls are fantastic. So the next one, Kingdoms of Men. I think Mantic have said many times before they won't be making plastics or models for Kingdoms of Men. It's more of like a gateway army for people to come from other games, historicals and whatnot.
Yeah, and I keep that, and hopefully I've convinced Chris that the Kingdoms of Men are worth keeping, because there's so many different city-states or areas, in the Ardavikian Plain or anywhere. I mean, men are like goblins. They're everywhere, I mean, I don't think you can get rid of them. I really like them. It's a gateway army. Would I love to see something? Yes. I think it's a great opportunity for them to license with somebody, and say, hey, and there's precedent for that, for what they just did in Firefight, bringing in some stuff for Warlord. And so I think that, I think there's some possibility there. So it'd be nice to see,
Yes. I mean, definitely. And at least when people go to the Mantic website, I want to pick Kingdoms of Men, then there's actually some models, be it from Warlord or from other manufacturers. They could just, I'm sure, I think Warlord and Mantic have a very good working relationship. So hopefully we can see something like that. I mean, they already done it for Armada.
Right. I mean, they work together. Black Seas is now Armada. Yeah. So you saw it in Firefight. I just think that this one's a natural for them. So they've got so many armies. Could it be your refresh army? Possibly. There's no plastic frames for it. So,
Possibly.
you know, and, you know, is Mantic going to do that through a collaboration with another company like Warlord? Who knows?
Who knows? It's interesting. I think it leads to the next army, the League of Vidoria. I think this army is, I think I spoke to a couple of players at Clash, you know, they feel a bit left out. There's not, I mean, with halflings, there used to be halflings in the league. I mean, I read the novel, Broken Alliance. I thought it was fantastic. It really goes into the politics of halflings and the league. So it's, I mean, what's your take on that, Mark?
Should
they stay?
I think that they should stay for sure. I mean, only because they're key to the fluff. I mean, the halflings left them. There's also still halflings in the league, so they're still in the list. I would just love to see their take and bringing the Erles in there, you know, for the honor guard and see the big versions of them and things like that. I don't know. I think it's got a lot of possibilities. One of the downsides is, you know, compared to like Kingdoms of Men, this is just like a specific area. You know, that's kind of like the Basileans and the dwarfs and stuff like that. Everybody's got their own area, but I guess that's a small downside. But I would love to see that get expanded. And boy, would those be some cool new plastic frames.
Definitely, and you could also multi-purpose the frames for Kingdoms of Men, because Kingdoms of Men have base cavalry, so you could
right. Yeah, there could be some synergy. Yeah, I don't think you've noticed at all, Gad, that Mantic likes to use their plastic kits across several different armies.
Yes, definitely. Not just plastic kits, it's also the resin kits. I think the Well of Souls, it's also used as the Portal of Despair. I just saw it a couple of days ago. Yeah, so one kit could multi-purpose. I mean, depends on the paint job and all stuff like that.
Oh, so, absolutely.
Yeah, so Night Stalkers, definitely it's their flagship models, flagship range. It's this big part of Twilight Kin, definitely staying.
Oh, yeah, and also going to Firefight.
Ooh, I want to see how they do that though. I mean, would they not? I'm sure not all the models. I mean, and it's a bit of a waste. Like I would think that the unit they removed for Kings of War, Spectres, would be a perfect fit for Firefight.
Right, and the other nifty thing too would be, are the Night Stalkers, you know, actually another unnamed army? Bad puns. Is there some synergy there, and then we can push some of those models into Kings of War? Possibilities.
Possibilities, yes. Not Alliance. No, definitely they have a full range almost. I would say maybe the dwarves, but Mantic are selling the regular dwarves as the Northern Alliance dwarves.
Right. Well, and they've got new plastic kits, and you know they were just released in a starter set, so they're not getting redone anytime soon. So.
Yes, and and their new starter set is pretty good. The Ice and Shadow, that's a really good starter set. Really nice.
Oh, I love it. I have it. Yeah, I love the starter sets. You know.
Yes.
Well, I took a look at it, and it's like, well, should I buy the ambush army to get the new units, and then I do this, and then I'm like, well, you know, I need the bodies. They keep saying in the vault, you know, they're going to give you upgrades, but you just need the bodies, and wouldn't you know it, was it September that we got the Northern Alliance upgrade parts?
Yes.
So it's like, oh, well, I need some bodies. So that kit, that set just fit the bill right there. So
definitely.
Yeah, I definitely picked it up.
Yeah. Side note: have you looked at the Huskarls upgrade kits?
I saw the controversy. I did not participate in it, but yes, I saw the responses from Mantic on there. So
yeah, I mean, I think what they should do is when they release upgrade parts that are new, that don't exist currently. They should actually maybe have like a video or just some photos of how they work, how they fit on the existing plastics. I think that would be very helpful.
Oh, yeah. Well, one of the things is our friend Johnny Mann is going to be leaving Mantic, and so they're looking for the next person to come in to do more content. So maybe our wish will come true.
Yes, maybe you, dear listener, if you're interested, I think Mantic are still hiring. So, yeah, you might be the one to come up with more content in future.
Absolutely. So let's see. Next up, another one
Ogres.
with brand new plastic frames, so they're out of the derby. But ogres, yes.
Ogres are great. I think the Mantic ogre aesthetic is pretty well defined. They finally did not skip leg day. All of them are good. I think there's some potential in the army to make it a bit more flavorful. So we will see if there's any changes for them in Clash of Kings. Because there is a model without rules, if you remember, from Vanguard. So they might, I don't know. I'm not saying I know anything.
Well, we're here speculating, so speculate.
Yeah. So
you know.
if you notice that there is a ogre matriarch model and an ogre paymaster model, so we don't really have rules for those models. I mean, you could use them as regular ogre heroes, but it'll be cool if they could be a ogre paymaster profile. That'd be cool. Like somehow getting the army to fight harder for more loot or something like that.
Right. Well, I mean, Clash of Kings is coming, so maybe we'll see something in there for sure.
Yes, so, but definitely not an army that will be refreshed. Next is Orcs. Orcs is a pretty controversial army. You can see from Clash, not so popular.
Not to Orktown, it's not. I don't know if you saw the post on Facebook today, but Skullface is kind of upset. So all of Orktown is, and you know what? They're not wrong. Orcs have the same right to exist as ogres and goblins and dwarfs and everybody else. So, I don't think you should trope them out. So, plus on top of that, I got 2 boxes of fight wagons coming from Mantic right now. I bought on free shipping weekend. So,
wow, okay. Fight wagons are awesome. I think fight wagons they really a great orc unit. They really exemplify what orcs are. So, but I mean, there's Reforged orcs. That's the elephant in the room. Mantic has been putting a lot of attention on them. So that could be a candidate. The Reforged orcs could take over the orcs. They could be like the Red King slaves to the abyssal dwarves. That'll be a bit of an interesting twist. So
yeah. Well, but the orcs are so iconic. I mean, they were specifically created by Garkhan.
Yes.
I mean, how do you throw that away? I'm sorry. I mean, I can't. And they just belong here, and that's the end of that. So, and I don't mind there being 2 orc armies. And, hey, one of the reasons I'm getting those fight wagons is because when I was at Clash, my army that Steve gave me had fight wagons in it, and I fought an army that had fight wagons in it. So, it's a multi-purpose unit. So why not?
Sure. I mean, it's as I mentioned, it's controversial. I mean, if they could somehow consolidate it within Reforged, but make it still unique, I don't know. I mean, because orcs are not so common, and I think they need something fresh. They need something to push them back up to make it more popular somehow.
Well, they're not going to get new models because they already have plastic frames, so they're going to be out.
Yes, they're definitely going to be out. So we'll see.
We'll see. Who's up next, Ed?
Red Kid.
Oh, well, they're staying, and they just got new models, so they're out of the derby too. But a good iconic army. I think that they, I think they play a huge role in Pannithor. So
huge, yeah. And I think the Mantic range is super fleshed out. I think yeah, I don't think there's any missing units. It's really good. So it's a very good alternative to the Skaven armies. They look quite distinct. They look bigger, beefier, tougher than the Skaven, for sure.
Yeah, they got that punk World War I kind of vibe to them. So
yes, which I really like.
So
Reforged Orcs, very new.
You missed one of the favorite armies there, Ratkin Slaves.
Oh yes, the slaves. Oh, I have strong opinions on them. They should not stay. I don't see the point.
Not stay.
What do you think?
Oh, I don't think any army should go, but Ratkin Slaves, I guess. I mean, they're technically part of some other armies, but hey, why not? I don't know, but a lot of people were playing them. Everybody said they were awful. A couple people are playing them effectively.
Yeah. I think part of the appeal is people think that they're probably the worst army. So people want that challenge of using the worst army and winning. I think Andy Marshall, my fellow Moonraker, has actually won tournaments with them. So yeah.
Yeah. In my opinion, they can stay. So now they use plastic frames from Ratkin, so I think they're out of the refresh. Plus, I think people would freak out if the new army was Ratkin Slaves. So
definitely, and I think majority of a lot of the kids are from the episode dwarves anyway.
Right. So I don't think they're going. I hope they're not going anywhere. They're definitely not getting a refresh. So, but
definitely,
we shall see. All right, on to the army I'm building right now. Riftforged Orcs.
Yeah. How just to summarize, how's your experience playing them for 6 games?
I really liked them. I wish I knew I was doing when I started. I really, by the time the 6th game came around, I was understanding what was going on. How to use Host Shadow Beast effectively, and things like that. And I'm very sorry I freaked out the commentators on table 1, game 1 at Clash, wondering why I wasn't using them. And the big reason is because I didn't know how to. So, and actually, when I got my brief on them real quick before I started, it was like, okay, each of these guys, they've got 3 attacks, they get 3 extra attacks, and then this one gets 4 extra attacks. Go for it. So it's like, okay, so that is not how Host Shadow Beast works.
No,
so not at all. You got to cast it, and then they're Crush 3, and so I was playing them totally wrong, and I, in the beginning, and especially in that first game, I'm like, they're okay. 6 attacks, all right, they're not so bad, but I didn't see where they could, cloud and just like take down Shobik, but evidently they can. And after playing them, I figured it out in game 4. Shout out to my opponent for helping me through that a little bit. And then I used them to okay effect. I think they did their damage. And the good thing was I was able to teach Heather all about it in game 6. So I think it worked out really well. But I had a lot of fun playing with them. I didn't think the Flyers could stand up to, they hit, but they didn't stand up to stuff once they got countered. And, for some reason, and it's probably just my dice, but I just couldn't remove units, like in one shot. Even if I double charged, I still wasn't taking them off the table. So, but that's the way my dice run. But, it was fun playing them, and I'm going to keep working on my army here, and I'm definitely going to change my list. So,
okay.
Yeah. So we'll see. What do you think about them?
I think they're pretty cool. They're quite unique army. It's unique enough from the Orcs. They could maybe use 1 or 2 more units, in my opinion. But otherwise, I think the Orc units don't really work well in the army. Like the Gore Riders and the Fight Wagons are okay. But I don't know, maybe some upgrade kits via the Vault to make your Gore Riders more reforged. That could be cool. I suppose you could already do it with hit swaps and weapon swaps already. So
Yeah, it would be cool models would be Rift Forged Gores.
that'd be
So
cool.
those would be pretty good. So, but that's an option too. If you wanted to, eliminate the orcs out of the army and keep them solidly their own faction, you could, have them kick the orcs out and just take over their jobs.
Could be.
Yeah, why not? So,
Yeah.
that could be definitely a direction. And I think we mentioned, but I'm going to say it again just in case we didn't. They already have plastic frames, so this is not your refresh army.
Nope. So next is Salamanders. Salamanders, they need a refresh, as in they do have geckos and Cassino Lancers that don't have a kit, but I don't think they will be the refresh army because they already have plastic frames.
I agree with you on that, and I don't think they're going anywhere. I think that they've evolved beyond being lizard men, and
Yes.
I can say that because I was building a lizard man army as my salamanders, and it's sat in the cabinet right now for many, many years, probably 4+ years. It's been sitting there, and they're beautiful, but I'm not going to use them in Warhammer, and the Mantic has salamander models, so I'm not going to use them. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're good. I think that they could use a refresh, though. I really do. But maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe next time, maybe 2025. So the next one is definitely a candidate for the Mystery Army, Sylvankin.
Yeah, you don't think that there would be a loud uproar that would go across this globe if the Sylvankin got new elf models and the elf army did not?
I would think that the Mantic would do it from the point of you could use the Sylvankin elf models for your elf army anyway. I mean, that would make the most sense. They already share so many units. I think the only unique Sylvankin units that are not in any other army are basically the boss waves and boss waves. I can't think of anything else that is not in the elf army or the other armies. So just looking at the list, every single unit in the Sylvankin army, except for boss waves, are already in other armies. So
that would make them not a candidate if any of those are plastic.
Yeah, so I'm not sure because they have archers, tall spears, warriors. They all have, they already have plastic kits in from the elf army.
Right. Yeah, that's why I think they're out. So
yeah, they're definitely out. So I think this is an army that could be consolidated. I feel that if you just add Dracons and into this list, you would basically get Palace Guard. You would get the elf list.
Right.
The elf list still has 4 Shamblers. The elf list still has the 3 Herder, for example. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, this one's probably the weakest for me of all of them, as far as reason to be there. But I think that they're making the differentiation, just like for the dwarfs, Imperial dwarfs, free dwarfs. This one you've got city elves and wood elves, so forest elves, so sylvan elves. So I think that's there, and they can stick around, definitely. I'm not going to run out. For some reason, they don't inspire me, which is really weird because Toby had a very large Warhammer Wood Elf army. That was definitely the first army that Toby put together, and so I figured I should have more affinity for it. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at a Wood Elf model that's partially painted right now on my shelf in front of me. So, but yeah, I don't know why they don't inspire me as much. So, but despite that, I still would keep them.
Yeah, same here. Wood Elves were my first army in Fantasy as well. So I have plenty of Wood Elf models, but it just doesn't really motivate me to just paint them. They just feel like a Pathfinder version of the Elves. There's no real... The lore is not as fleshed out, I guess. There's no real... motivation for me to bring them, I guess. I think the formation helped, but same as you, I'm not so inspired to build a Silverkin army at the moment.
There you go. All right. The next faction on our list is the Herd. And this is my candidate. There are no plastic frames.
Zero plastic frames. And there's so much potential for this army. I think there's some artwork in Uncharted Empires that showed basically owlbears and stuff like that. So that would be really cool. There's no real owlbear plastic kit in the market. Something for Guardian Brutes, something for Minotaur Chariots. Minotaurs are always fun. So I think the Herd would be a good candidate for the refresh. They just have to not be Beastmen, I feel. Like they already have Longhorn models from the League of Infamy game. Longhorn and also Tribal Warriors. So they look quite a bit different from the GW Beastmen. What do you think, Mark?
Well, I agree with that. And, League of Infamy spun out a couple of different things. And so I think that's good. And now I don't consider the League of Infamy models plastic frames. So I still think that they could be a candidate for the refresh. And, a lot of people talk, and we've talked on this podcast about consolidating them into forces of nature. So, or making them forces of nature. So, but, I would love to keep them around. I think the Stampede is inspiring, particularly when it first came out. There's just something about it. And, and I'm sorry, Chris Kapsner has spoiled me on the Herd. His one army I saw down at Lone Wolf was just spectacular. It was so gorgeous. And, it was very inspiring. And so as far as I'm concerned, the Herd's been part of the game for long enough. And so I hope they stick around. I hope they get the refresh, and this is a place you can do some stuff with some plastic kits that could benefit some other armies a little bit too. So I don't know. For me, this is the one I'm going to put my nickel down on.
Yes, I agree. I think the Herd is definitely a good candidate. Same with the Forces of Nature. They need plastic kits for the Centaurs. So, if you do Centaurs for Herd, you get Centaurs for the Forces of Nature as well. So that would be a good candidate, definitely. And absolutely. I think there's some scope for some cool monster kits, like the Avatar, the Father, those kind of things. And you mentioned Stampede. Stampede is going to be a cool model. You could probably do like a multi-plastic kit for Guardian Brutes and Stampede and Minotaur somehow.
Right. All those there's a lot there. I just think that, and hopefully it'll sell well for them. So I'm just trying to think of who their opponent will be in the starter set. So it's usually, so it's usually the army that just came out, typically. So is that going to be Trident Realms or the Abyss? Who's going to go up against the Herd? So
that's interesting. I think the Abyss versus the Herd. Abyss has not been in a starter set, so that will be a quite interesting to play a starter set.
Well, and they could be battling it out in the Forest of Galahir, so I think that's perfect. So you're thinking like I'm thinking. I'm hoping that is my 2-player starter set, Herd versus Abyss.
Yes. So next one is Brother Monk. I think we've been through that already with Basilia. Okay. After Brother Monk is the Green Lady. So Green Lady is my candidate for the new army.
Oh, okay.
So they don't have plastic kits at the moment, if I'm right about that. And they are a very popular army. Yes. They also have Centaurs. And this is, I think, a golden opportunity for Mantic to do a cavalry kit. Order the Brotherhood, Order of the Redemption. And also you could use it for other knights. You can use it in Kingdoms of Men, you can use it in Brothermark. So yeah, you really do a lot of multi-purpose with this. But they do have heart piercers, and heart piercers are a plastic kit.
That's true. So, but offload those and consolidate those all into Trident Realm and replace the Naiad Heart Piercers with just regular old archers. So
yeah. So that could be yeah. I mean, Order of the Brotherhood on foot, Order of the Thorn. I think that could be a very interesting aesthetic, rather than the usual human models. We know that Mantic doesn't like to do just generic humans. Like even for the Northern Alliance, the humans are, they have fur coat. They look a bit more distinct. So definitely, I think the Order of Green Lady is another candidate, probably a close second.
There you go. Well, I would have no arguments if they put out the Order of the Green Lady. None whatsoever.
Yes, definitely. I think it's the IP is strong enough. The law is good enough that it can stand on its own. People won't compare them to the Bretonians. So they are a bit more magical in that sense. So the next army would be Trident Realm. I think we already know that they're going to get a refresh in the first quarter of next year. They'll get frogs on frogs. So that's what was leaked at Clash.
The dam busters.
Yes. So plastic dam busters would be very useful. Currently they only have one sculpt in resin, so it makes building a unit very expensive and not the easiest to convert. And they really need depth horrors. I think it wasn't like leaked or anything like that, but depth horrors definitely maybe through the vault somehow, because they only have a hero model for now.
Yeah. Oh, and I would love a placoderm frame.
Yes, I do have placoderms from League of Infamy. I have like 10 of them. They are nice models, but they are PVC and single post. So somehow they can come out with a plastic frame. They'll be good.
Right. I've just said that was the thing I was more excited about. So I don't know if that's in the off or not, but I think we're just getting the dam busters and the river guard.
Yes, I think for River Guard, definitely the metals are a bit not so easy to work with, especially with the conversion parts for the two-handed weapons and whatnot. So definitely, I'm looking forward to try them. So definitely, they are not a candidate. I think we're almost at the end now.
Oh yeah, we're almost there.
Almost there. So next is Twilight King. Twilight King, they just got a new range, so definitely not.
They're not leaving. They're going to be around for a long time, and they've been completely refreshed and completely burned into the lore of Pannithor forever. So I don't see them going anywhere. Yeah,
I think Mantic have positioned them as like the big baddie for Mantic, so that'll be interesting.
Oh yeah, they have planted the flag.
Yes, definitely. Undead, definitely one of the older rangers, but still very, very good. I think Undead is an army that just suffers from having so many options. It's a good army, but when you have so many options in the list, there will be some options that will fall behind a little bit. So
right, it's kind of unusual not seeing Undead doing as well. They used to be such a power army in the past, and now it's you don't see many people taking them, etc. So, but their plastics are great. So that makes them not a candidate, even though it would be interesting. I think there's some holes that they could fill over there with the Undead. So I'd also like to get rid of the Restic Cav and Revenant Cav and stuff like that. But, Yeah,
okay. Yeah, I mean, they already did some Revenant Cav for the Empire Dust. So
right.
Maybe they could do a Revenant Cav plus Soul River kit. Dual kit, I think that would be very awesome.
Right. Or maybe the Ophidian kit will be able to roll into the Undead set too. So
yes, that'd be interesting. Yeah, cool. So the next one is Varangur. Varangur, not the most popular army. It's basically an evil Northern Alliance, but with cavalry. They stole the horses from Northern Alliance, apparently.
Absolutely. So, do you consider them having plastic kits?
Yes, because they share the human tribesmen with the Northern Alliance. I don't think Mantic would be doing a Varangur team army, but as you said, if they pull the tribesmen out from the list, But even then, they still have like Night Raiders, which are basically Black Hunters. So,
Yeah, so I mean, they could skirt the edge of that one, maybe make a decision. But even in Armada, the Northern Alliance fleet is also the Varangur fleet. So
yeah,
the ships are the exact same. So I would imagine that they are going to keep that knit closely in Kings of War as well. So
yes.
So we'll see. And plus, how could you get rid of them too? They're basically your Chaos Warriors, and you definitely want to be keeping them around. So
yeah, so I think that Cav kit, if Mantic could somehow do a Cav kit that was generic enough but still distinct, that you could have add-ons via the vault for Varangur, Mounted Suns, for Order of the Redemption, Order of the Abyssal Hunt, just have a Cav kit that was multi-purpose enough. That could be really good. That could sell for like 4 or 5 different armies.
Right. Well, I mean, the Basilean horse is used in how many different Cav units, So, I mean, getting a new horse, and I think the unarmored elf horse is also scattered around as well. So, I think there's some possibilities there, definitely.
Yes, because if I'm not wrong, the unarmored elf horse was from Warlord as well.
Oh, was it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a repurposed plastic kit for the elves.
Oh, okay.
Horses.
Yeah, I don't have any of them, so.
Yeah, not the Stormwind Cavalry, but the Silver Breeze.
Right. Yeah. Well, we'll have to check that out. So, but I don't have any of them right now.
Because the Stormwind Cavalry, I think they use the same horse as the Basilia. It's the same horses, if I recall.
That kid gets around, Gad. That gets around. All right. Yeah. Well, we made it to the end of the list, my friend.
Yay. Woohoo. So do share with us your thoughts on which army could be the mystery army. I think we'll probably find out not so soon, maybe in December. Usually Ronnie has like a end of year message for all the different games, what's coming up next year. So yeah, do share your thoughts. And Mark, anything else you want to add? Right.
Now, the other thing too is, do you think that the army list that's going to get the refresh is going to get the full Twilight Kin treatment, which is what we heard? So their army list should disappear from the upcoming COC, right?
I think
fascinating.
I think the Clash of Kings have really gotten the print. So I think it'll be the same like Twilight Kin earlier this year. It will still be in Companion until maybe March. Then it'll be removed. So it's like a placeholder until March, because you still want to let people use their armies.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, but it's just a thought. So. But, okay. I mean, based on your timeline, then they'll disappear in March and then get relaunched in October.
Yes, which is what they did with Twilight Kin. So
exactly.
I think from Clash, you could see which armies get very few changes. So maybe one of those armies could be a candidate. We'll see.
We'll see. I think more will come into focus when you see the Clash of Kings book, for sure.
Definitely.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I certainly did. So thanks for having me along here, Gad. It was a great conversation.
Yes. Thank you for joining me, Mark. So we'll see you next time on MUP.
MUP Shorts.